Good morning, Seaside. Please give a big round of applause to our Seaside band. And I invite you to come on in and take a seat. And I want to give just, again, great gratitude and appreciation for the band and all the volunteers here at Seaside Spiritual Center for all that they do. So please give a round of applause to them. Next, I'd like to introduce you to Dennis Mills. And you'll see Dennis walking out over my right shoulder. And Dennis will be holding light in service today. So his job is to see and know the perfect unfoldment of our service happening right here, right now for each and every one of us. And for those of you that don't know, we actually have over 50 practitioners here at Seaside Spiritual Center. And there's an opportunity for each one of you, if there's ever an area in your life that you want to get prayed on or work on in your life, these practitioners are here for you. In the newsletter on the very back page, there's actually a complete directory of all the different practitioners that we have here at Seaside Spiritual Center. There's always practitioners after class or after the service that you can come up to, and it's their honor and pleasure to actually pray for you in any area of your life. In addition to that, we do have a prayer box in the back of the sanctuary. So if there's any area of your life or a friend or a loved one that you want to have prayed on, please do that, and they will be praying on that throughout the week on your behalf. So that being said, we do have a number of announcements today. For those of you that don't know, my name is Doug Sutton, and it's an honor for me to have this opportunity to give the announcements for you. So with that being said, Nancy Chappie, I don't know where you are here. She has a special announcement from the travel ministry. So please welcome Nancy.
How many of you missed the film festival in Cannes this year? I know, I did too. But don't despair. There's one in Santa Barbara, the end of October, for 4 nights. It's the Awakened Thought Film Festival. We're all invited. You can buy your registration on the internet, and you can do it by the day, or if you want a gala in the evening, you can do that too. My job is to tell you about this wonderful hotel package in Santa Barbara for 3 nights, per person $395, which would be a bargain for the hotel, but it also includes round-trip train from Solana Beach. So Sandy Atkinson, wherever you are, this is going to be a car-less journey, and I know that'll make Sandy happy. And it includes breakfast. So if you eat a big breakfast, you really don't need to eat the rest of the day. So it is such a bargain. $395 a person. So do come see me afterwards, and we'll just go have fun. And you don't need to go to the film festival. Some of us are going to maybe do some wine tasting. And I thought one day we might just knock on Oprah's door and invite ourselves to lunch. So come see me after.
Thank you so much. A couple other things. There is, many of you know of Reverend Fran, and on the inside of the newsletter on the second page here, there's actually going to be a celebration of life for Reverend Fran on September 28th at 4 p.m., and you're each invited to come to this. We'd really appreciate if you could make it, and it's an incredible opportunity to honor her life and celebrate her life. Also, in lieu of flowers, donations can be made in her honor in memory of Reverend Fran to Seaside's music ministry. So please be aware of that if that's something that you would feel called to do. There's also a book signing next Sunday here at Seaside with renowned author Howard Richmond, and there's actually on the first page here, The Healing Field, his book. So if you want to come participate in that right after service at 1 p.m., there's going to be food and drinks offered if you're interested in that, and that will be available for you as well. In addition to that, we have a preteen pool party next Sunday from 1 to 3 at Reverend Christian and Callie's home. So if you have any preteens that are interested in attending that, please know that they're definitely invited to come. Another thing we have going on at Seaside, starting this week, is a number of classes that are taking place. And honestly, for me, it's probably the most exciting part of being able to participate and play here. I like to call it play at Seaside Spiritual Center. The services on Sundays and Wednesdays are incredible. We all know that. And one thing that I have tremendous gratitude and appreciation for the classes. How many here have actually taken classes at Seaside? They're amazing. So if you have an opportunity, if you have any questions and you're curious about which class would be great for you, please know that there is a section here on page 3 of the newsletter that has a breakdown of the classes that are starting this week. I'm always in class, it seems like, here at Seaside. And again, there's a table in the back of the room where you will have the opportunity to sign up. and learn more, and there'll be people there to answer questions for you. I do implore you to look and find out what class might be great for you to take. It's just an opportunity every single day in your life to have homework and integrate what it is that we learn here at Seaside Spiritual Center into your life on a daily basis, and that, to me, is one of the most important parts of the whole thing. So with that being said, I do have a couple other call-ups. Keith Russell, are you here in the house somewhere? Please welcome Keith.
And continuing the quiz, when is the community yard sale? One more time for the people that didn't hear you. October 4th, the community yard sale, the annual community yard sale, and there are 3 ways to participate. Today being the day that it is, there are only 2 more Sundays which you can drop off donations. That's one of the ways to participate in the yard sale. Bring to the church the things that you haven't used in the last 6 months, 9 months, the clothes you haven't worn, the appliances that you haven't turned on. Please bring those donations. We take them. What we don't sell, we recycle to the CRC or the Rancho Coastal Humane Society. That's one way, donations. The other way is to volunteer. We need your time, especially on the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th of October. That's the 2 days before. We set up in here over 30 tables. We set up outside. We need you the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. I will be outside at the welcome table. Please sign up. We need probably 50 volunteers over those 3 days to make it work. And the third way, what do you think that would be? Come and buy something. That's right. Come and spend your money. Now, some of you have said, well, what are you going to do with that money? Well, guess what? We're going to take that money, everything that comes into the church goes to the roof fund, which you will be hearing more about. So, thank you very much.
And last but not least on our call-ups, Lori Gertz and Rick Merica, they have a special announcement to talk about that actually segues from what Keith was saying. So please welcome them.
So guess why we're here? Dressed like this, you can probably imagine. Last week on Friday, Lori and I spent, a couple of hours actually, having lunch down at Kai's restaurant. And the purpose of that lunch was to just hang out and think up all this creative stuff we were going to say to you today about reasons for you to spend some money. But at the end of it, we kind of thought, well, Reverend Christian is doing such a terrific job, and he's so eloquent in everything that he says, and certainly he spent a great deal of time, trying to enroll everybody, and he has enrolled a few, right? Because we're doing pretty well so far. But we're still a bit from the goal, so we still need everybody's full participation to their best of their ability. And so we didn't think of a lot of cool things that haven't already been said, but Lori's going to mention a couple of things that are important.
Hi, everybody. It's good to see you here. So we're fostering puppies, and this morning I was up since last night. And so I watched the sunrise and the stars disappear, and I stared at the sky wondering what I was going to say up here when I got in front of this thing. And what I'm going to say is that this is our family, this is our home here, and we're able to have some pretty amazing things happen here under this roof. And this campaign isn't so much about the roof, it's what happens under this roof that really counts. And because of what happens under this roof, I do things like foster puppies and talk to people who, are otherwise just looking for somebody to be talking with or inspired by or laugh with. And I know every one of you do the same all week long. And so my experience here at Seaside, in my spiritual home, is that I start on Sunday, I come on Wednesdays, I end on Sunday, I start on Sunday, I come on Wednesdays. And so what happens is that I cut a wide swath of what is happening under this roof out in the world, and I know every one of you do the same thing. And that is why the roof over this very special sacred place is so important. And that is why we're reaching out to each and every one of you for your support. So, covered with puppies, that's what I came up with.
Well, thanks. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. And there's also there's a table in the back of the room of the sanctuary where you can sign up and contribute if that's something you feel called to do. And there's some really cool squares and tiles, so you could have your name put on there if you actually have an opportunity to contribute. So that being said, I hope you have an amazing week. Enjoy the service today. And with that being said, please stand up, greet your neighbor, and have an awesome day.
Right. Good morning. Could we remain standing while we do our congregational song, which you know, God is my source. That's right. Put those hands together. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. God gives me thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Joy is my source. Joy is my power. Joy gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Joy gives me everything I need. Love is my source. Love is my power. Love gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Love gives me everything I need. Peace is my source, peace is my power, peace gives me everything I need. Now I give thanks for all my blessings, peace gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need.
Ooh, sounded good. Hey, good morning, Seaside. Whoa, what a joy it is to be with you on this gorgeous sunshiny day. And this is Leslie Green. Just fabulous to have you leading us. And Leslie is an icon in the gospel community of San Diego, and her daughter happens to be Rebecca Jade, who is just this week going off to France doing a musical tour. And then last week, you may have saw her, she sang the national anthem at the Padre game. So what a team you two are. Beautiful, beautiful. And let's see, you heard wonderful things about a roof that is going on. One of the things that was not shared to you that was shared at the first service by Rick is that raising funds to fix a roof or build a roof or do a roof is not a very sexy kind of thing. It's not like carpets, chairs, buildings, or anything like that. But I figure, now, how sexy is this? I mean, come on, the roof, this slicker, I don't know. But I want you to hear that we did very well last week. You know, our intention is to raise the $85,000 to take care of our roof the month of September so we can deal with it, put it away. And last week, through your generosity, and I want you to know the different ministries also came together. Not only were you buying blocks, our intention is to sell 140 blocks, which would cover the 14,000 square feet of new roof. But also the ministries pulled together people. And the couples group, thank you very much. They raised funds for a block, and someone matched the funds, and so they had 2 blocks, and they started for a third one. The practitioners raised funds for a block. Someone matched that, and they're on their third one. Seaside Sisters raised the funds for one. We had the usher greeter team. And so the magic is happening. We raised last week $19,000. So appreciation, heart goes out to you, and I want you to know it's a good thing. I came in this morning hearing this patter, and it's leaking again near the piano, and if you hear this patter during the service landing on that plant right there, it's picking up again. Like I said last week, it's a miracle. We're in a drought, and it's raining inside of our building. It's just not what we're going for, and people say, but it hasn't rained. What I want you to understand, if you look up, you can see the vats which hold the insulation bellowing. It's because the water has been stored there since the rainy season. So that's how come it's raining inside Seaside's building. So anyway, we're taking care of it. Commitment, hold it with me. This month, we're done. Anyway, with that said, I could keep talking, but I'm not, because this is about the Spirit, and the Spirit does move through my talk, I know, but it also through practitioners. And today we're going to renew the practitioners' commitment in front of all of us, but to take us to a deeper place, because we believe Spirit First always at Seaside is a masterful practitioner at Seaside for more than 15 years, is our very own Candace Young Schultz.
Please join me in a moment of stillness. For me, the subtle reverberations from the bowl are a reminder that God is breathing me. God is breathing each of us. For there is only God, and we are God expressing. And this celebration this morning is a celebration of God, a celebration of Spirit, a celebration of wholeness and expansion. And I am so grateful for all who came together to create this, and for the words of Dr. Christian and Dr. Christina and the fabulous musicians who are instruments of God, sharing inspiration, sharing joy, sharing peace and love. And knowing that I know this service is one which touches each of us. And in gratitude I say, and so it is.
God is great, God is magnificent, God is love, God is truth. I am great, I am magnificent, I am love, I am truth. You are great, you are magnificent, you are love, and you are truth.
Thank you, Leslie, for singing us in so beautifully with that beautiful song that Reverend Fran wrote. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you, Master Practitioner Candace Young Schultz, for praying us in so beautifully. Good morning. I'm Reverend Christina Tillotson, and it's my honor to welcome you, especially if you are here at Seaside for the first time. If you're new to this this philosophy, this faith, this way of life. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your light with us, because just coming here makes a big, big difference. Sharing your consciousness and your love with us today makes a big difference in this community and in so doing in the world. Seaside is a member of a community called Centers for Spiritual Living out of Golden, Colorado, whose vision is to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence, and whose vision is a world that works for everyone. So that's what you are all a part of by being here today, and you are making a difference by being here today. But to participate in that, and in our philosophy and our faith and our way of life called the Science of Mind, we take all of the world's great spiritual teachers and scientists and philosophers and put them together in a philosophy called the Science of Mind that not only enhances our own lives, but truly, truly creates a world that works for everyone. So thank you so much for being here. And here at Seaside, we have lots of things going on, as you heard from Doug. And I want to especially invite you to the Wellness Support Group, which meets in the Quimby room at about 12:30 today. It's for all ages, and what we do is we just go through a little ritual to support each other in your wellness intentions. So whether you are really, really well in your body, mind, and spirit and want to share it with people, or you have some challenges in your body, mind, or spirit and you want some support in that, that's what we do. So it's a short little session, but we truly, truly support each other, so you're all welcome to come to that. So Dr. Christian, and if you're new today, also there's a packet in the welcome table outside. Please pick one up and be sure to use your coupons at the bookstore to show how much you appreciate our appreciation of you for coming. That's why we have all of those. Anyway, tongue twister today. Anyway. So please use those coupons in the bookstore, because we do appreciate you coming. So Dr. Christian's talking about consciousness today, and so what I did for the reading was to take some of Dr. Ernest Holmes' quotes about consciousness from the Essential Ernest Holmes, which is a very profound class that I have the honor of teaching starting on Tuesday. And you can sign up in the back for all the classes. But this is from this amazing workbook for that class. Once asked the long-term purpose of his Science of Mind philosophy, Dr. Ernest Holmes replied that it was to serve in the uplifting of the consciousness of the whole human race. With what a vastness of power we may ally ourselves. What mighty energy is the one who hurled the stars into ordered space. What infinite wisdom in their stately workings. What exquisiteness of beauty in the creative mind that paints the sunsets and adorns rainbows. What melody in the soul of one who teaches the birds to sing. What depth of tenderness in the one who gave the mother heart its love. This energy, wisdom, beauty, and love, dynamic and creative, belong to the person whose simple, seamless fabric of faith is the deep, abiding consciousness of the indwelling presence, and who dares to draw forth the God within him. He shall have health, for he thinks it, wealth, for he creates it, joy, for he gives it. So let's take these ideas into prayer. Going to that place where the presence of the one that flung the stars into the galaxy and flung the planets into their orbits and flung every single being on this planet out of itself, from the tiniest atom to the farthest galaxy. It is all that light and that love and that wisdom and that divine right action and that wholeness of what I call God. And I know that I am that, and that each one here is that. A perfect expression of that light, that love, that wisdom, that wholeness, that joy of spirit sitting right here and right now in this sacred space of Seaside. And so I am knowing for this sacred time together that that light and that love and that presence and that wisdom of spirit is palpable through and as each one here, palpable throughout every word that is spoken, every thought that is thought, every action that is taken. And that out of this sacred time together, that presence of God is so palpable that the consciousness of each one here is raised to that level of wholeness, to that level of light, to that level of love, and that in so doing, it allows this whole world to come to a higher level of consciousness, because the whole world is so interconnected, and it starts right here with each one here. And so for this light, for this love, for this wholeness, for this sacred time together that spreads out from here to the universe, I just so gratefully accept as I release this word to the law, absolutely knowing that it is now done in perfect wholeness and grace and joy and love. And so it is. Amen.
Beautiful prayer. Well, we have some guest artists here today that are not new to this church, to being here. They've been coming here for many, many, many years. And we're very, very blessed to have Miss Janice Edwards and Mr. Nathan Fry share with us as the guest artists.
Of what we live is laid out for all the world on the front page, and the sound of someone's heartbreak is a soundbite at the news break, with a close shot of the tears rolling down the face. Blessed be the child who turns a loving eye and stops to pray for the times in which we live.
In these most uncertain hours, where the balance of power is a fight that is fought every day. Freedom is a word, some cry out, some whisper, and some just too quick to give away. Blessed be the one who stands by the one on the battle line for the times in which we live.
Well, give me a heart full of tender mercy and arms I will open wide.
For these times in which we live, seems the only answer is
giving up on finding one at all.
And we hide behind unsure, pull the blinds and lock the doors. Blessed is a picture on the wall.
Oh, blessed is a believer who knows that love is our Redeemer.
Oh, yeah.
The only breath of life for the times in which we live. Well, give me a heart full of tender mercy and arms I will open so wide. Yeah,
Why don't you give me the word full of
loving kindness and hands that are ready to hold up a light for the times in which we live, for the times in which we live. Oh yeah,
Blessed be the child
That's Nathan Fry. This is Janice Edwards. How beautiful. The song and you, and just thank you to it for being here. Wow. So let's see, this morning's message is plugging holes in consciousness. Now, where do you think that came from? Which absolutely is what we're doing, because we live in a world that outpictures consciousness. This morning's message is about consciousness. And when things are leaking in your world, there is something going on for you to know. But what's interesting here is what you want to do is return to a sense of wholeness. What you want to do is return to that place where spirit prevails in your expression in life. And so as we come to plugging the holes in our ceiling, we've had all sorts of ideas. We've had all sorts of people come up, and contractors, you can do this, you can do that. We have got schemes on how to raise money. We do this trick and that trick. And what we realize is, we just need to put out there and let that take care of itself. We need to take care of that responsibility. But also what the practitioners are doing, and today we'll be honoring the practitioners in a little bit as they recommit their being to serving God and expressing here at Seaside, is that they have just held a consciousness of knowing that it's handled, that Spirit has got Seaside covered, not concerned about doing it this way or doing it that way. And so often in our life, when there is something leaking and not working, we think about, we can handle it like this, we can handle it like that, or run over here and this person fix it. And it's like sticking holes in the dam. Remember that little Dutch boy where you stick the holes in here, I'll fix this one, fix that one. And all of a sudden it keeps popping other places. What you want, or what I want, is Spirit to prevail in my life and to step into the quality of consciousness that has us covered. What I want to do is step into the quality of consciousness of wholeness, not that is leaking or has holes. And as you begin to embrace a divine quality of Spirit, it personalizes its expression in your life that is relevant to the totality of your thinking, of your mind, and your expression. So, let's say if you have you're working on transportation. There was a time where riding a donkey was like high class. I mean, if you could ride into Jerusalem on the donkey, you obviously were the king. A couple thousand years ago, that was a good thing. A couple hundred years ago, train was a real good way for transportation. And if you had one of those big, long, private box cars, man, you were CEO all the way. It was sweet. And then you got cars, and then you got planes, and you watch Star Trek, you got Beam Me Up, Scotty. And the thing is, they're all qualities of transportation. Yes? Yes. So what happens is they were always all available. And in our life, the quality of Spirit will show up in your life at the level of your consciousness or the filter or your sense of awareness in which it can show up. They're all qualities or aspects of transportation. There's many ways for it to show up. To have you covered, there's many ways to show up. But if you get caught up in trying to fill the particulars, Ernest Holmes says you don't outline. You hold that quality of God. Ernest says when you pray, you pray. Have that divine realization. You don't tell that infinite how to do things. That's right. How many people are trying to tell God how to run the universe? It's like, it's handled. So what I want to do is step into that place and knowing that it is handled, to plug the holes in consciousness. I don't go one at a time. I just allow the whole thing to be covered in the expression of God and take care of that. There's a Latvia proverb, it's one of the Baltic states, that says that you take care of the soil and the soil will take care of you. That's right. Yeah. Take care of the body will take care of you, right? I've noticed my body needs a little more attention now than it used to need. But it's a funny thing, a building's like that too. 12 years ago when I was around here, we didn't have to take that much care of it. But you know what? It needs a little bit more attention now, just like my body. Take care of the building, and the building will take care of you. And when things begin to leak, it's not bad. It says this is where something needs to be taken care of, whether it's a building, whether it's your body, whether it is your life. When there is something that is leaking, when there is something dripping, it doesn't mean you're a drip. It means that something is dripping in your world that's trying to grasp your attention. It got my attention this morning as it went boom, boom, boom on this green plane. And they probably would not approve of the rhythm, from our musical section. it's how you deal with it. There's a change that needs to take place. It's not as if it was wrong how you've been doing life. It served you well, but things need to shift. If you don't shift with it, you're going to keep ending up. Here's a story. A couple guys. They hired a bush pilot to take them into the back Canadian wilderness, and they bagged a couple of moose, a couple of big bull moose, 1,000-pound guys with these big paddles. And as they were there were two of them, loading up their prize into the plane, the bush pilot said, whoa, wait a second. You guys need to know that I can take 2 hunters. I can take all of your gear, but I can only take one of those moose. An extra 1,000 pounds or more, this plane's not going to fly. And the guys, they just raise them. Come on now, you can do that. You can push it. That plane can handle it. Do you know the bush pilot flew the very same plane you're flying now last year, and he put both of our mooses in there? Now, how come you can't do it? Well, the pilot, he's not going to be outdone by the guy from last year, so he said, I'll do it. Okay, go ahead, load it up. So they loaded up the game, and they took off, and they were flying. But even under full throttle, full power, that plane just couldn't fly and eventually just crashed down into the Canadian wilderness. But fortunate there was enough moose and camping gear and sleeping bags that they survived the wreckage of the plane. And as they were climbing out, and the hunters looked at his buddy and said, wow. Gosh, and looked around and said, do you know where we are? And his buddy said, well, I think it's the same place we crashed last year. Got it, How many are pushing what you've been pushing that wasn't working, but you're still pushing? It's like, why don't you give? You keep doing the same thing you can be doing, you're going to keep getting the same results. And if you didn't like those same results, it's like, do something different. You've got to be in that place where you're flexible enough. It's like opening up the refrigerator. You know the analogy? You pull out a bottle of milk, take a swig. Not that you're supposed to drink out of a bottle, but you did. And it's like, ooh, sour, and you put it back in, you close the door. It's like, what's going on? You got a leak in consciousness that is showing you something needs to shift and something needs to change. And because something is showing up that may not be conducive of a perfect expression of what you're going for, it doesn't mean that's bad. Judge Thomas Trord, his wonderful quote, and as many of you know, he has a strong influence in Ernest Holmes' position and teaching in terms of bringing the law. He was a judge, sat on the bench in the Punjab, India. So he's influenced by all this spiritual stuff. And then he wrote these books and his very logical explanation of spirit. It was like reading a legal brief. One sentence starts on one page and ends 3 pages later. So it was tough stuff, but it was brilliant. And here's something the Judge Thomas Trord wrote. He said, our repeated failure to fully act as we would wish must not discourage us. It is the sincere intention that is the essential thing. And this will, in time, release us from the bondage of the habits which at the present seem almost insurmountable. It is the sincere intention. If your life isn't quite producing it just the way you want it, as you're envisioning it, it's okay. Be kind to yourself. You're all right. It's the sincere intention that will free you from whatever the situation is. And so if something's dripping or leaking, we got a hole in consciousness. What we know is what's in consciousness outpictures within our life. We live within our consciousness is like what is throwing out for us to step into. If it's not working, then it's something that needs to be adjusted. To know that I want to go into the quality of God. I don't necessarily need to stick my hole and say, this is the way this one needs to be fixed. But what's going on right now doesn't feel quite right, and you got my attention. But something beautiful that Catherine of Siena, she is like one of the few, maybe 6 patron saints of all of Europe. She said, all the way to heaven is heaven. Okay? All the way. That means the difficulties, the challenges, the drips, those things that stretch you, that's part of heaven too. all the way is heaven, because there is no place that heaven is not. So what needs to change is my perception, is my understanding, and realize if life is speaking to me, if life is trying to grab my attention, what I want to do is pay attention. What I want to do is understand. What I want to get is maybe the consciousness I was holding was working at this point, but you know what? Life has brought more to me to take a look at, and I need to up level, not that there's a large or small, but I need to be able to transfer the quality of spirit that I'm working on in my life to the next level that begins to challenge that. Not that you're supposed to be challenged or tested, but what happens in the evolutionary spiral of life is you move up to the next rung, and it is the same principle and the qualities of spirit that works. But are you able to believe in peace when it doesn't feel very peaceful inside? Are you able to believe in wholeness when your roof is caving in? Are you able to know the quality of God when you move beyond the kindergarten level within your life? It is there. There was a man, a very affluent gentleman, very successful in his career, a lot of money, kind of could write us the $85,000 check here if he was part of Seaside. And he wanted to show his son one time, young son, about to just kind of appreciate what they got, to take him to see the poor. And so they had some family members who lived out on a farm, and so he took his young son out to the family who were on the farm and spent a few days out there. And the son actually got into it. Just loved being out there in the nature, running around the hayloft, feeding the animals, started doing the chores. And when they came back and they were sitting around the pool at dinner time, and Dad said, well, you know, what do you think of that farm? You know, obviously, you know, you had to realize they don't live quite like us. They don't have the money. He said, well, I kind of like the farm. Why'd you call them poor, Dad? He said, well, you know, they just don't have those things. I mean, look at the lights around the pool here. They're special kind of lights. They don't have anything like that. He said, yeah, I know they don't have those kind of lights, but they got the night sky that is filled with all those stars. And I get that they don't have a swimming pool, but they've got a stream that feeds into a lake, which is gorgeous. And you know, we got a wall around our property, and they've got so much land that they can't even fence it in. And we've got to go out and buy our food, and they raise and grow all their food, and what they have left over, they sell. I just don't get what you're thinking, Dad. Yeah. And so it comes back again to consciousness. How is it that you're perceiving what maybe assisted you to move forward now needs a little tweaking? It's not as if the quality of God has changed or the overarching potential of transportation, let's say, has changed. There's just a new iteration of what is possible and its application within your life and within your world. Spirit continues to move forward, and you move through these ups and these downs. I mean, I can remember one time just sitting on a bus. Actually, I can remember this on the train. It happens in cars too, not when I'm driving, but you know, I close my eyes and you know, just the vibration lulls me to sleep pretty quick. And I mean, not a deep sleep or anything, just, I mean, I know what's going on. It's as you go through a tunnel, you know, you don't even have to open your eyes. It goes dark. You notice that? And then you come out of the tunnel, it gets light. You drive a little bit further, and you go by a grove of trees, and kind of gets dark, the shadow with your eyes closed. You follow me there? And so, you know, light and dark. And it's dawned on me, that's kind of like life in the sense that you've got these moments where it's light, and it's good, and it's bright. And then you go into a consciousness that's got some holes. It's a little dark, and it can last a few days, weeks, years, the dark night. And then you come out in the light, and you're on that next rung of that ever-evolving spiral, and you're applying the spiritual principles in your world, and you get to the next time where the roof is leaking or there's holes in consciousness, and it's like, is this bad? It's calling my attention to be able to know that Spirit's got me covered, that I'm absolutely blessed in its expression and what is going on. And what I got to realize, you know, with life is, you know, just because you try to sell an idea to somebody and they don't take it doesn't mean it's a bad idea. Just because my manuscript got turned down by one or a dozen people doesn't mean it's not going to be sold to the next person. Just because a loan got rejected for you doesn't mean that someone isn't waiting to give you a mortgage to your new dream home. You've got to not acquiesce to, oh no, the fear that creeps up or the questions of inadequacy, because Spirit is adequate and available for any needs that arise. There is no large or small in the mind of God, and that is the mind in which we live and move and have our being. being. And if you choose to be a free expression in this world, if you choose not to be bound by someone, some career, then I just want to fill you in up front, though you figured it out already, that volatility, uncertainty, ambiguity is just part of being a free soul. You know, clients can come and go, money can disappear, and you know what? It's not a statement as to who you are. Who you are is a divine emanation, and that is just part of the dynamics of not being in a set place. And so it's interesting in classes, and classes start this week. Encourage everybody to be in a class. I mean, we say here at Seaside, life just works better when you're in a class. And if you have not taken Foundation, Tuesday nights with me, that is the basics. I want you in there. You know, money's too much. We have trade for hour services. There's no reason that everybody should not be in there. If you've taken the basics, we've got advanced ones. Want you there. But what's interesting with class is, boom, it's working. It's great. I'm applying these principles. And usually when you first start, there's not much question. I apply them, and wow, the floodgates open up. My life is clicking. What's important then to point out is that you don't get all puffed up. Because what happens is, then comes the next moment where do you really have it at this level? And does it really happen at this level? Or is this a tunnel I am now going through, or a grove of trees where it's dark? And we begin the evolutionary process of realizing that the holes in consciousness don't need to be plugged. What happens is I need to step into that greater quality of spirit where it is wholeness already expressing itself in my life here and now. You are that place in which it expresses. You know, Walt Whitman, he talked about henceforth, which is an interesting word. It's not usually one in my vocabulary, you know. Henceforth, I will no longer seek rich blessings. I am rich blessings. I am rich blessings. Hey, let's touch your heart and say that. I am rich blessings. Together, I am rich blessings. Again, I am rich blessings. See, when you are that vortex in which it flows, when you are that space in which it flows, and you touch people, they are blessed by your blessings. But I want to give you a heads up, if it is moving through you, you're also touched. As you begin to be that generous expression of the divine, you find your world blessed and enriched and graced in ways that are relevant. We're dealing with this quality of spirit, which is divine blessings, and it personalizes itself like transportation. It can be a car, it can be a jet, it can be astral projection. I don't care. It's the quality of transportation. When we're dealing with the quality of love, when we're dealing with the quality of wholeness, it shows up in your life in ways that are right and progressive. Spirit's not static. That's why things age. Though we're ageless. No, it's you've got to be willing to move with spirit. It serves, it's appropriate, it's good. The challenge comes, people try to hold on to the old covering that used to work. There's a wonderful story about Henry Ford, though he wouldn't think it's wonderful, but it's insightful. It comes from the book, The Man and the Machine, and it was 1912. And the Model T, it's just been for 4 years. It was at the crest of its success. Everybody wanted the Model T. Henry Ford was off tooling around Europe, relaxing. He comes back to Highland Park, Michigan, to his plant, and his manager of the whole operations of engineering of models, and by the name of William Knudsen, calls him forward and said, "Hey, Henry, look at the next possibility of car." Henry Ford loved his Model T. There was no room for any other iterations of what's possible. And as he looked at this sleek down version, 4-door of his Model T that was lacquer red convertible, the observers report that he put his hands in his pocket and he walked around that car 2, 3, 4 times, and then went berserk. He was so angry that his baby had been changed that he slammed the doors until he was able to rip them off, kicked holes in the roof, broke the windows, and destroyed that car as much as he wanted. That was the end of the career for William Knudsen at Ford, and he kept his Model T intact until Knudsen started working for GM, and General Motors started nipping at the heels of the success of the Model T with this new 4-door fangled machine of a car that Henry Ford had to acquiesce from the corner he had been backed into to begin to bring on the next Model A, which was never in his heart and his soul. I just share that story because life is progressive. Even though you've got a wonderful, magnificent expression going on in your world right now, there's the next step. There's that next run of the spiral. There is something that is going on. There is an opening. And a lot of times there is a defining moment that pops you to that place. One of the defining moments for Seaside was the day we bought this facility. We all have those defining moments. This week, we honored September 11th, in 2001, when the World Trade Centers came down. Defining moment within our country. We were changed forever. There was a new sense of terror in consciousness. TSA was born. It takes longer to get on airplanes. Homeland security, our privacy is not quite the same. And there's no going back to how things were. September 11th was our parents, or some of our December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day. It lives in our mind like that lived. Things are different in the world in which we live. This week, the president came out and declared we're upping our activity in the Middle East. And we could sit there with our prayers that this is what I want to happen, and this is what I want to change, and this is how I want. But I'll assure you, the spiritual practitioners are praying for peace. Peace is what everybody wants. Doesn't matter where the fight's going on. Peace upon this planet, a world that works for everyone, is that God quality, and how it shows up is not up to me to try to plug the holes and say, do this in this country and do this in that country. I'm not sitting in any kind of judgment. I'm standing as a vortex or a transparency of the God quality of peace to show up and to manifest upon our planet in a way that prevails. And what I know without a question of a doubt is that when a majority of individuals are able to stand for peace and against nothing and be that place where the presence of God shows up, any of the holes in the consciousness that overshadows this planet in which we live will be healed, will be transformed, and that expression of God will be known because it has us all covered, whether we're here or somewhere on this planet. And so there are those moments that call you to a new place. My son had one this week, for sure. He started high school. First day of high school was this week. It's hard for me to believe my little guy, who I rolled through these doors for the first time in a stroller when we moved the heartbeat from PCH up here, that he was actually started high school this week. And what's is a defining moment for me. I can remember when I started high school. Can you remember when you started a school in your life? Those moments, those first, are portals. They are opportunities to embrace a greater level of being or fall back in fear and restraint. You remember your first relationship or your first kiss? Your first love? Your first car? Your first time you walked through the doors here? Those are defining moments and portals to the next step up on that ever-evolving, emerging spiral within your life that says life is not going to be how it was. And what is doesn't necessarily need to be labeled bad unless that is the filter I'm choosing to look at, because it's not what it was. We can never go back to how it was. You cannot go back into mom's womb and get womb service. That is done, And so it's interesting, for Trevor, is that he has yet to master the English language in terms of putting sentences together in a conversational kind of form, which makes it very difficult socializing within a school setting. You talk about diversity, and the inability to be able to communicate definitely has you standing in a different place, but it's the consciousness that he brings of the joy and the excitement that allows him to be comfortable enough in his different expression to continue moving forward on the path as opposed to falling off. But what happens in our life is that we get stuck in how it was and are afraid to experiment in the new ways, and yet there are more holes in consciousness or more holes in the roof, or there's more leaks happening, and I don't want to change and give up where I am because I'm not comfortable with the experimentation of the newer and greater expression of who I am. Margaret Wheatley, a powerful, successful corporate educator, coach, consultant in our world, and a friend of the Centers for Spiritual Living, she writes that Many of us have created lives that give very little support for experimentation. I'm not willing to experiment with a red four-door convertible. We believe that the answers already exist. And what if we invested more time and attention to our experimentations? That's a question she's asking. What if you spend more time on exploration of your experimentations? We could focus our efforts on discovering solutions that work uniquely for us. We can work on discovering solutions that work today, that were not available or unknown in the consciousness when donkey was the best way of transportation, the solutions for peace prevailing, the solutions for a world that works for everyone, the solutions that are here for getting our roof covered, the solutions in your life are there. They are available now, but you have to be willing to experiment with something different, because if you keep going back to that same plane crashing in the same spot, you're going to keep crashing in the same spot. And so to plug the holes of consciousness, you've got to be willing to know that Spirit has got you covered and to step out on the pinnacle and experiment with the new territory and your new kind of expression and realize that, hey, I might get some knots in my stomach, but it's time to untie those knots and free yourself from what has kept you from experimenting and exploring with Spirit in a new kind of way, and to be who you are. That's who you should be. You should be who you are, because everyone else is taken. God bless us as we are that. I love you. Hey, let's keep it going as we bring Janice Edwards and Nathan Fry back to our stage.
Well, before we sing this song, I'd like to speak about my special friend, Reverend Fran. The moment I met Reverend Fran, I loved her. She refused to just be a stranger. She was a friend right off the bat. And I didn't know how I would feel about walking in here today without seeing her, but I realized that because of her kindness and beauty that she showed me, I was able to come into Seaside and meet all you wonderful people. I love her. I always will. She will always be in my heart. And so this one is for her.
Like a comet blazing across the evening sky, gone too soon. Like a rainbow fading in the twinkling of an eye, gone too soon. Shiny and sparkly and splendidly bright, here one day, gone one night. Like the loss of sunlight on a cloudy afternoon, gone too soon.
Like a castle built upon a sandy beach, gone too soon. Like a perfect flower that is just beyond your reach, gone too soon. Born to amuse, to inspire, to delight, here one day, gone one night. like a sunset, dying with the rising of the moon. Gone too soon. Oh, gone too soon. Born to amuse, to inspire, to delight. Here one day, gone one night. Like a sunset, dying with the rising of the moon. Gone too soon. Hey, gone too soon.
Fabulous for sure. Janice Edwards, Nathan Fry, sharing their heart, sharing their soul, sharing their spirit. And know that Fran felt that for sure. Wow, beautiful. To feel that love, Fran is. This is the time of our service where we pause each week to just listen to our hearts and support our community in the manner in which we can. And last week we did a second collection, and we took a collection for the funds for our roof. And we did fabulous. Thanks again. Over $19,000 was raised last week. We're almost a quarter of a way there to the $85,000. Inside your Sunday program is a second offering envelope. We're not going to do actually two collections today. We're just going to have the Bucket Brigade doing one. And I want to invite you. I know many of you have been thinking. I've had calls this week. I've spoken to you about your contribution. I want you to know this is the opportunity in our service in which you have a chance to put that green envelope in. And I always want to remind you it's in addition to the regular operations, because we have the regular ongoing responsibilities of our community, and this is extra for Seaside. And so I just thank you in advance for your heartfelt thoughts, and know that that green envelope is for that, and this is the time in which to do that. And we're going for 140 blocks in there, and love to see your name there. And so at this time, I want to invite our ushers to come forward and say thank you to this wonderful Bucket Brigade, if you would. May I'll put my raincoat on in a moment just to help prompt our thinking in our heart and our soul. And I know Hollis has got a raindrop song for us as soon as we're done praying here. And I just say thank you. Just thank you to the most generous of spiritual communities. I stand here in awe and wonder and vulnerability and just gratitude for the most generous of spiritual families that say yes when the call is put forth. And I know right now that truly that clarion call has been put forth for this time to assist Seaside to be covered. That truly that which is necessary for that to happen is already known in the mind of God and is taking place and will reveal itself by the end of this month. And I say thank you to God for that. It's happening through each and every one of us, because each of us is that transparency of that God expression. Truly the rich blessings of God made manifest here. And so as we pause in this moment and listen to the richness of the heart and the soul we give from that place, we become that vibrancy and that frequency of that flow of the joy, of the love, of the giving, of the sharing, of the being. For truly we live in this divine mind, this infinite realm of possibilities, a reservoir that is endless, that is bottomless, and each of us becomes that wonderful tap through which it flows, and the more it flows, the greater sense of security comes, the greater sense of peace comes, not because of what it is I've got or what I can get, but rather I know that that source is infinite and is ever available, and I live in the realm that there is enough, there is always enough, because that is what Spirit is, fulfilling its expression as you. I know right now that each of us truly is that wonderful divine quality of the wholeness of God, able to say yes to what stirs within the heart and soul and give from that sense of love, give from that sense of peace. Grateful to know that I cannot outgive Spirit. And as I send this forth, that which has blessed me continues to bring the blessings to whom it comes in contact. I say thank you, thank you, thank you. And I live in the state of grace and gratitude and appreciation for the wonderful flow of life that I am, you are. Seaside is, and so it is. Amen. And together, let us read this affirmation of abundance, which is, Spirit continues to bless my world. Gratefully, I live as the giving expression of Spirit, opening the floodgates of the affluent flow of greater good as my life now.
Every time it rains, pennies from heaven. Don't you know each cloud contains pennies from heaven? You'll find your fortune falling all over town. Be sure that your umbrella is upside down. Trade them for a package of sunshine and flowers. If you want the things you love, you must have showers. So when you hear it thunder, don't you run under a tree. There'll be pennies from heaven for you and me. Every time it rains, pennies from heaven. Don't you know each cloud contains pennies from heaven? You'll find your fortune falling all over town. Be sure that your umbrella is upside down.
And as I stand before this ever-expanding abundance of good, I know truly that which has blessed us continues to move forth in this universe as blessings. For each here in this sanctuary truly is the rich blessings of the divine made manifest. And in this collective way, it is making a profound difference in the expression that Seaside is. It is received in love, it is handled in good stewardship, and is put forth back into divine action, bringing that vibration of the blessings to all it comes in contact. I say thank you, Father, Mother, God, for this moment to be the expressor and to be that activity of the abundant flow of God, and knowing that it continues to reciprocate in those ways that are right, real, relevant, and appropriate in our individual lives. And so it is. Amen. And this is Lori Gertz. She is your board treasurer. Great job, guys. Fabulous as always. We got Nathan and Janice, just two wonderful expressions of music and light and love. Beautiful songs there today, for sure. Leslie Green, thank you for handling our... Yeah, come on over, sit down in one of the chairs. And Dr. Christina, thank you for sharing your Sundays with us. Giving us the sound today is Matthew. Giving us the visuals is Mar. Know that there's a CD available right after the service if you would like one. Timothy sharing this this cast to the world. So it is appreciated around the globe. Thanks to you. And love to all of our home viewing audience. So Flowers are gorgeous. They were at the first service. Nancy and Bill Mills celebrating 60, I think it's in the program, 3 years. That's like a lot of love. 1951, they were married, so they wanted to do it. And just a reminder, classes, as I shared with you, are starting this week. It's important for you to sign up because we order the workbooklets tomorrow. So if you're thinking about it, sign up. Talk to me on the way out. I would love to see you in one of the classes, particularly mine, but any of them will help uplift the consciousness of our community. And let's see, Howard, I see you sitting there. You got a book signing next week. Congratulations. Fabulous. Excited. And I heard you were hysterical as your comedy show here. So thank you for what you're doing for your books, for our bookstore. I know it all has been going to that, so it's appreciated. Hey, I'll tell you what I want to do right now. We do this once a year as I invite all of our religious science licensed practitioners to stand up here on the stage, and I am going to give them an opportunity to recommit to serve, being a service to spirit, and just to be that place where God touches down. Take a look at their faces on the big screen, and then you can see them in real life. They are truly blessings. And I just want to point out this particular one here, right? Sharon Bagley, she is one of the new practitioners, freshly licensed this year. Just truly grateful for that. And let's see, Candace told me Annie was here. Well, I don't see Annie, but this is Tim, and this is David, and this is Penny, who's hugging David, and that is Sharon, and that is Joanne, and that is Sandy, and that is Candace, and that is Nancy, and that is Ray, and Carolyn, Ed, and Bruce, and Rosedale, and Linda, and Robin, and Kathleen, and Patty Christensen, and Denise, and we got Ellen, and we have got Jennifer, and we have got Kay, and we've got Bob, and we've got Jonathan, and we got Cliff, and we have got the wonderful Kathy, and we have got wonderful Nancy. I've traveled Costa Rica with Nancy. I should know that one. And of course, Dennis Mills, and just wonderful guys. So that is great. And there's always, I want you to know, one of these practitioners in the back holding the light. They just sit there and they are that vortex through which that spirit flows. They have been trained in the art of being able to do nothing. And it takes 4 or 5 years to learn how to do nothing, so you can have everything. And that is truly what they are. They are in that space of everything and the allness of the presence of God. They have spent their first couple years in the basic classes, in which they are then available or possible to enter into the professional licensing part, which is another 2 years, at which if they graduate from that, they have to do their oral exams, and they also have to do written licensing exams, and they are licensed not by Seaside, but by the movement as a whole. They have been trained in the art and the gift of prayer and meditation and visioning, and they are able to stand in the midst of a leaky roof and know that you are covered. And so whatever may be dripping in your life, talk to them, because they don't see the drip. They see the presence of God standing before them. So take advantage. They are professionals. They are available for private spiritual counseling. They are available at the end of the service at no cost if you want a prayer. They take our prayer requests every week out of the prayer request chest, and they pray daily upon it. You don't see the work they are doing, but I assure you there is a consciousness, there is a vibration that underlies what Seaside is because 50 people are praying for you on a daily basis, whether you know it or not. They are in the closet doing their thing for you. And there is something that takes place. And so as we successfully take care of this $85,000 by the end of this month, they may not get much credit, but I want you to know it began in their consciousness and prayer long before we ever heard about it out here. And they knew that it was done. So I'm going to ask them some questions to renew their commitment and their vows to you and to God and to this center. And then at the end, I'll just say, let's all acknowledge this, and I'll throw out some lines and we say that together. How's that go? That's good, and then we can go. But first, they completed the courses that were required for the licensing. They committed their lives to the studies and the practices that would get them to this place. And so I want you to get that this is truly a holy moment within their life because, all the time, but once a year publicly, they stand before us to recommit themselves to the service of God, to the service of Seaside. And so they have personally, voluntarily offered themselves to be used by God in the realm of spiritual mind healing. That is to bring forth the presence of God before all experiences of otherness than the Spirit, whether it's sickness or lack or limitation, whatever it is. They just know the wholeness. They know that you are covered. And so down through the ages, there have been those that have come who have held a light that is bright, a love that has burned so brightly that they have been willing to work selflessly in love and in service to be that light for others, to be that catalyst, that tuning fork that assists people to move back. And these individuals align themselves with the great healers that have ever graced this planet and sit in the history books. And therefore, at this moment in time, I'm going to ask these individuals to willingly, unreservedly dedicate themselves to the art and the science of spiritual mind healing based upon the principles of this wonderful movement that Ernest Holmes brought forth, who said, it's not my idea, but rather it is the compilation of the wisdom that's come through the many different philosophies. So, do you so consecrate yourself as a practitioner of religious science, working under the authority and the license granted to you by the Centers for Spiritual Living, that you will rely upon the principles taught by this movement in practicing the art and the science of spiritual mind healing? And will you be ever aware of your high office and function and conduct yourself with dignity, integrity, moderation, abundance, and sincere devotion in every act and in conformity with the code of ethics of a religious science practitioner? Yes. And when you are called upon for help, will you always be aware that you are acting under the authority and license granted to you by the Centers for Spiritual Living, and as such, that you are an instrument through which the divine restores one to their original expression of wholeness and well-being? And do you dedicate yourselves to minister to whomever may call upon you in their time of need? That you will be constantly aware of the divine that is within all people, regardless of where they may be in life, no matter what their diverse expression may be. That you will see only the perfect spiritual person, perfect in body, perfect in mind, and perfect in spirit sitting before you. Yes. And as a practitioner of religious science, do you bind yourself absolutely to secrecy, keeping inviolate the confidences and the identity of those who come to you for help unless you receive their explicit consent to do otherwise? Yes. Well, thank you for dedicating your life to continuously practicing the presence of God. And so, we acknowledge you for committing yourself to your own personal spiritual growth. Together, we acknowledge you for committing yourself to your own personal spiritual growth. We acknowledge you for the demonstration of peace and harmony in your life. We acknowledge you for the demonstration of peace and harmony in your life. We acknowledge you for the demonstration of abundance and health in your life. We acknowledge you for the demonstration of abundance and health in your life. We acknowledge you for the radiant expression of love in all you do. We acknowledge you for the radiant expression of love in all you do. We acknowledge you for committing your entire life to being a practitioner of God. We acknowledge you for committing your entire life to being a practitioner of God. I want you to know you're awesome, you're loved, you're appreciated, you're a gift to us all. Thank you for saying yes this day. Bless you. Standing for a quick prayer, and just feel this uplifted consciousness and know that there is a presence that moves in the body of this spiritual community. For that presence of God is alive and dynamic in each and every one of us, and we stand witness to those that have committed their life and the blessings that they are, not only to themselves, but to everyone that is around. And as we live in the rich blessings of a community that knows that each of us is that light or that conduit for the rich blessings, there is healing going on. Not because I am asking or trying to plug a particular hole, but because I know that I am covered, and that as I live in the omnipresent, omnipotent allness of God, all that is ever necessary is already established now, and I align myself with the God quality that there is enough, that there is abundance, and healing happens in my life. It happens within our individual lives in ways that are right, real, and relevant. For I know every prayer request that has been brought forth is so that our roof is already taken care of and is expressing the ways and means now, for our eyes are open to know that we are covered. And I know in our individual lives healing is going on in the body. It is made whole. It comes into alignment. There is love that is ever greater felt. There is joy. There there is abundance. There's just an ease of walking this world. And I say thank you for this ever-expanding awareness that wherever there may be a hole in consciousness, that it may be known so I can move to that higher place, that next rung or iteration of that evolving spiral in which we ride to a higher place, never needing to repeat those old lessons and crashing in the same spots, but opening up to the grander and expanded vistas of possibility. So in this day, just say thank you for the realization, the words that are true, that are happening here and now, for a spiritual family that is thriving and growing because the members within this community's lives are working. And to that I let go with a big thank you, a release, a surrender, because it is happening. And so I let go in this moment. And so it is. Amen.
There was a time in my life I thought I had to do it all myself, and I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, if you're struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let go, let it go. And this is what you have to say. So release and let go. I let my spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the spirit, as I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let my spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggles, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I let go, let my spirit, yes I do, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. That my faith I see the light. Yes, and be as I'm living. Yes, I'm only here. I'm only here for God. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, God. Love, living in peace. I'm living my life, what I believe. The joy is no tears. The world I walk, His grace shines on me, and it shines on us all. As we're living in grace, living in grace, living in grace, grace with grace. We are living in grace. Living in love, living in peace, united we stand as one family. We honor all truth, together we walk. As grace moves through me, and it moves through us all. Just living in grace, we are living in grace. We are living in grace. Living in grace.
Thank